Consumers connect the most with businesses that support their community. And this year, we have, once again, 24/7 Day coming up on July 24th. It is the perfect opportunity for retailers to connect with their communities and show that they care. Best of all, it's free. Talking about 24/7 Day, we have Executive Director of the NACS Foundation, Kevin O'Connell. He's going to take us through what 24/7 Day is and all that stuff, because this is his first time through it. Kevin joined NACS on July 22nd last year, and we said, okay, Kevin, you have 2 days, make it all happen. It was kind of already planned, but Kevin got to see 24/7 Day just real quick, real fast. And over the past year, he's had his fingerprints all over what it looks like this year. So welcome to the program, Kevin.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Thrown in 2 days prior, but I'm realizing it's like the Japanese term of mise en place, where you have to have everything done before you even cook. And so I'd say about 90% of the work is going to be done before July 24th this year. So it's about a 6-month endeavor to plan this event.
So planning aside, that's all the internal stuff that NACS does. There's planning that retailers can do, and we wanted to have this broadcast on right about this time. There's a critical time where retailers can fully take advantage of 24/7 Day and all the things that it offers. Best if they do something soon. They can also participate as late as the day beforehand, but let's take us through some of the key. Set it up before we get into all the key points. Your experience with 24/7 Day and the foundation. Kind of walk us through what the foundation does and how 24/7 Day fits into that.
Yeah. The foundation, NACS Foundation, has been around since the mid-1990s, really started as an education and research council, but over the last decade or so, it's really established its footing in 5 giving pillars, everything from response relief all the way to hunger relief, education, supporting communities, pediatric cancer, children, etc. And our flagship program is exactly what we're here to talk about, is 24/7 Day. And, the interesting thing talking with our partner, American Red Cross, is we know about the big hurricanes that happen every year. And specifically this year was Hurricane Helene. And then earlier in January was the unfortunate events of LA wildfires. But one of the things they share is there's well over 100 micro disasters that happen across the country every year that we all have to support and recognize outside of the national news coverage. And that's everything from your EMTs to your firefighters, police, Red Cross volunteers, all supporting these, and even down to a local house fire. That's an emergency, and that's something that first responders support in our communities. And so what better day to recognize, commemorate them, and bring them together where they're already stepping into a convenience store because they're shift workers, is a special day of July 24th.
And convenience stores and shift workers, more than half of emergency workers do second and third shift. Convenience stores are the most likely place to be open 24 hours or extended hours. So there is a connection there. Some of the things that we've also talked about with the foundation 24/7 Day is convenience stores are not first responders, but they're often the first responders to the first responders. You mentioned all these things that we face, hurricanes, etc. Convenience stores are often the last to close and the first to open to have supplies, ATMs, all those things that people need to at least feel back to normal. Things may not be back to normal, but when they see the lights on at a local convenience store, it starts the optimism.
Yeah, and some things that we hear is, listen, they're going in there to get caffeinated, I'm sure. Hopefully they're picking up maybe a granola bar. They may be picking up those bag of chips or something else. But we've also heard that they're kind of doing their rounds, like they're specifically hitting up that local convenience store to say hello to the clerk that's working at 2 a.m. in the morning, just to kind of give a nod. Hey, I'm in the area. I'm around if you need me. Because I think that's the other thing we're trying to debunk is it's not all bad things that happen at convenience stores at 0 dark 30. It's a lot of good things that this industry does. We're quick to react. We're proactive, and we support a lot of these causes. Everything from the local Little League teams to these major disasters that we're talking about?
So the foundation came up with these 5 pillars more than half a dozen years ago. It was through, I think, 50, 60, 70 interviews with key stakeholders, largely retail members and supplier members. So it is a supplier and retailer network that work together to enhance the industry's ability to help communities. And there are 5 pillars. We'll probably down the road have an episode on each of those pillars. Today, we'll stick to 24/7 day, which fits under response relief. Can you briefly describe what is 24/7 day and what can people do to take advantage of it?
Yeah, this is so we are on track to have well more than 80, 90 brands, retail brands participating. And the way that they sign up, again, Jeff mentioned it's free, it's turnkey. They have to pick something that they want to offer up to give away to first responders. And so generally that barrier to entry is picking, whether it's your free cup of coffee, free fountain drink, or a free product. That's the easier thing. Where we've seen some other success is we've had retailers where their employees are making celebratory shirts, and they're setting up a barbecue outside the C store, like our friends at Hop Shops. We have others where we know the local fire department is stationed, they're hunkered down at their fire station, they're not getting out to the C store that day, and they're bringing, they're packing up goods and actually bringing the C store experience to the firehouse. And then the really cool thing that we saw this past year is Highs, who has 52 stores in Maryland. They did a Hometown Heroes program that actually lasted more than one day. It lasted early July through about Labor Day. And they put out a call to their community and said, hey, nominate your local hometown hero. Who's doing something good and heroic in your neighborhood that you want to recognize? And they wound up giving away about 14 or 20 awards, where they actually had a mini celebration in each of their stores, plaques hung, and invited the family members of those police chiefs and volunteer firefighters. And that really gave us some inspiration for this year. But again, the easiest thing is retailers can get involved by signing up, getting in touch with us. We'll give you the digital toolkits, the press release. You're part of our national to local press release. And then, you're kind of on your way, and we would love to coach you along the way. I can also, Jeff, talk about the supplier side if you'd like me to as well.
Oh, please do.
Yeah. So we've had great partnerships with American Red Cross, NENA, the National Emergency Number Association. We also have partnerships with Anheuser-Budweiser or Anheuser-Busch. We also have partnerships with Keurig Dr. Pepper. And some ways that suppliers can get involved is in-kind donations. And that could either be to the foundation to give out or directly to some of these local retailers or fire police stations. The other is a retail partnership product giveaway. So there might be a certain area, region, or retailer that you want to partner with, and we facilitate that. You can certainly come up with a promotion there, a sponsorship. Also, we have some suppliers like Reynolds. They give a donation to the American Red Cross. Highs, for example, I think they're rounding up about 40 cents per cup of coffee bought that day. The proceeds will go to the Red Cross. And then 2 other ways is we are doing a First Responder of the Year award program. So we're looking for some thank you packages and ways to really recognize those first responders. And then with the Red Cross, we're also looking at doing some blood drives where it's kind of this tagline of everybody could be a hero. So a lot of different ways suppliers as well as retailers can get involved.
And the NACS Foundation is the group that spearheads this because it is about supporting our community, and that's why it starts with a foundation. And what is, I think, particularly important about this program is you don't have to be a certain size to have success with this. You can have hundreds of stores in a built-out PR program. You can have a handful of stores and really no one that's day-to-day on PR. We provide that. We have PR professionals that are guiding this, that are helping support all the stores and all the brands associated with this. And you had mentioned Hop Shops. I just thought that's an interesting story. We visited them last year to visit their disco bathrooms. They're the ones that have that button, you push it, disco lights, music in the bathroom, really fun operation. They have roughly a dozen stores, and we visited them last June. Mentioned 24/7 day to them. They were not particularly familiar with it, but mentioned it's free. It does this, and they stopped us at, actually, we mentioned community first, and they stopped us at that, and it's like, we're in. How much? And I said, it's free. And it's like, okay. And they knocked it out of the park. Another company, similar size, Tiger Fuel, based in Charlottesville, Virginia, does an absolutely fantastic job with this. And what it does is it also energizes all of the employees, because there's probably somebody in the store working every day that has a connection to a first responder on some level, extended family, friends, something like that. And when your job becomes more than the traditional retail, but you're uplifting a community, you can kind of see the difference in the vibe of a store and how that affects everything else, turnover, etc. So I think really cool examples of how this program can jumpstart something and maybe even lead to something else. This didn't lead to the disco bathrooms, but it was kind of like, okay, they're in the mindset, let's try something. They continued that, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to know that that was their first year, because you would think that they've been doing this for a couple of years, and we will be doing a brainstorm call with them just in a next week, but they're already looking to elevate their program. And one of the best quotes that came out of, we have a lot of data on this event and impact, but their store manager, I think her name was Kelly, said, this is the best event we do every single year. We feel so special. And again, a lot of retailers might say, well, we already give away the free coffee and the free drink, 365 days of the year to any first responder. And that's great. And please be a part of this, because we can wrap you in. But I think there's something special when the C-store employee behind the counter is knowing this day is for them, and that extra smile, that shirt, that extra product, or that barbecue out front, and their family members are, that's the extra special thing. And again, you said this, they probably know them by first name, but they say, hey, today is for you.
Yeah, and it's a terrible analogy. I'm gonna say it anyway. It's the difference between seeing somebody walking down the street and seeing a parade, because when you're part of something that involves possibly 100 different C-store brands, it's a national event, and it creates a bigger canvas for our PR to paint a picture and perhaps draw more national attention. Mm-hmm. Certainly, you want the local attention.
Yeah,
you want the local attention. You want your customers to be aware of this. But if you can supplement that with national news stories, then we're really on to something in celebrating what convenience stores mean to the community, specifically convenience stores that are part of this program. Mm-hmm. Was there we talked about hop shops, I mentioned Tiger Fuel, you also mentioned Highs. Was there anybody else or anything that you heard story-wise that just kind of got you and said, yeah, this is cool. This is why we do this, and this is why it works?
Listen, the two things I'll say is, we have, going back to 2019 when this first started, we have the relationships with Sheetz, Wawa, and Racetrack, and those big chains, all the way down to Highs, Hop Shops, Tiger Fuel. But some of the calls we had this year for some new retailers, they kind of stopped us in the first minute and said, you don't have to sell us on this. We see it. We love it. Just tell us what we need to do. And then, myself and my colleague Leah, who supports the PR side, we kind of do our spiel and say, this is what you get. And really, we do a lot of the behind the scenes. They just have to figure out what's their offer. Do they want to do something special? And we literally will roll out everything else for them. So there's very little selling. There's very little convincing. It's they know they want to recognize first responders in their stores, in their community. So that's a great thing. And I think the other little anecdote that comes out of this is, again, we heard this at SOI, is I think two things. One, employee turnover, and two, how do we get more people through the doors of our stores? And this is a way to do it. Highs, they one of their 17-year-old volunteer firefighters was one that received their Hometown Hero Award. And I mean, this story I've shared a million times, but his mom and dad came into the store that day that they got the award, and they got a little swag bag picture put up on social media. And the father, about 3 months later, his application came in to work as a store manager at one of the Highs locations, and they said, "Why do we know this name?" And sure enough, it was the 17-year-old son that was awarded. And when they interviewed him and asked, "Why do you want to work here?" he said, you recognize my son. You didn't have to do this. I feel more of a connection. And candidly, I'm pretty sure he worked at another retailer, down the road. And he said, "You know what? I'd rather come work there as a general manager." And they wound up hiring him. And so, again, it gets people in the door. It's an employee morale, employee turnover, retention piece. Outside of what it's really meant to do is recognize first responders that support our community.
And a great partnership with Red Cross. And this started after the hurricanes in 2017, when we had three of those devastating hurricanes in a row. We had already started working with Red Cross informally, and that formalized something that Red Cross that year came to the NACS show because they wanted to just learn more about it. And they said, "We just did back of napkin math." And between the supplier members and the retailer members, we estimate that your industry gave us $37 million post-hurricane. And that was just like looking at a list of some of the common suppliers and looking at common retailers. They didn't drill down to everybody. That's back of the envelope math. And that got them to want to go to the NACS show. And I remember that year we had a quick video. And then after that, William Shatner from Star Trek, among other things, he was our speaker that day. And William Shatner tends to maybe not be on script. And he's talked to the first 30 seconds, maybe minute, about how awesome convenience stores are in supporting communities and what they did to support hurricane relief. And he got off script on that. And then, of course, he went on like 25 minutes longer than but he's that guy. But he was really taken aback by that. And that's really what we want to do. It's an image campaign. But it's an image campaign for retailers to tell the story of what they're already doing. And it's an image campaign for NACS to celebrate as broadly as we can all our awesome members and what they're doing. And you had mentioned you have a work with a PR person. Each of the last 2 years, she's compiled a media report after the event. And I believe it's somewhere around 1 billion impressions. Impressions means something was somewhere, newspaper, whatever, and it's based on viewers, readers, however the audience is captured on something. And each of the last 2 years being around 1 billion, which is a lot. That means the average American saw something 3 times. There's 330 million Americans in the country, but not one was negative. Not one
all
was
positive intent. Yeah.
Not one was anti-hero or anti-community. So super, super positive in terms of what this does for image. Now, at the start, I was starting to get in details and just you have to set the story. That's not how you get somebody to yes. So let's just assume a bunch of people are already at yes, and it's like, okay, Jeff, time to stop talking. Tell me what I need to do. One of the things I had said is optimally, right around when this comes out, it's good to get a commitment pretty early. And commitment doesn't mean you need to put a deposit down or anything like that. It just means let's start the process, because then we could have you on the national press release. We can put things online. It's easiest to have your company recognized at the most appropriate level. Now, Hop Shops last year didn't meet them until I think mid-June, so it was a little later, but earlier the better. So you want to kind of walk us through a timeline of what people can do and how they can do it.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this now, early to mid-June of 2025, the quickest thing, and I'm sure in the podcast notes here, is you'll get my email, or you go to 247day.org. Please shoot us an inquiry or my email and get on my radar. And so we can quickly get you our deck, and then really it's filling out a smart sheet to let us know. you have to, one, provide us a store list, a logo, and then just come up what your offer is. And so again, that might be this year for the free coffee and or free fountain drink. And then, we can include you in the press release. One of the things this year that's unique is we're actually working on a interactive map that will be public facing. So we're the one place where there is some deadlines is we're plotting all of the C stores that signed on in March and April and in early May. We're going to be plotting those stores so the public and first responders can go on and do a quick little search to see what stores participating, what they offer. If you roll in July 1st and after, we may not be able to get you on the map, but we're going to get you a toolkit, which includes at least 12 different social media posts, potentially a mobile app friendly ad, as well as any other signage you need for your front store managers so they know how to participate and that they're aware of it. And then again, as Jeff said, this will roll into everything from the local, regional to national PR. So your store list will be on there. And, again, what we tell people, especially if you're already doing this kind of program, giving away the free coffee or whatever, it's better to be on this list than not, because if the first responder hears it on the radio, sees it, their coworker says something, they may wind up going to the store across the street that is on the list versus you. And again, they may not pick up that extra snack or product, or again, you might not be top of mind. So it's a fairly easy process to get involved. And again, we'd be more than happy to onboard you up until early July. But again, if you're desperate and want to do this and it's July 20th, we'll make it work. And then obviously, in 2026, we can roll it out even further. And again, same thing on the supplier side. We can get creative here because I know there's a lot of marketing and promo lead time. So this is going to be an ever evolving existing program from here on out. So this is our 7th year, and I can't wait till we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary.
So if anybody's holding back and saying, I'll wait until July 22nd and celebrate Kevin's 1-year anniversary with NACS, cool idea, but he'd prefer to hear something much sooner than that. But one other thing I think worth mentioning, you had talked about we'll provide social media posts, we'll provide digital assets, all this other stuff. A key element to that is we are not telling you what to do. This is not like, okay, you signed on the dotted line, now you must listen to us. You can do whatever fits your brand, and bigger companies, they already have their stuff already planned out. So there's ways to do this with your brand and incorporate it. So it's not like you can't have your own pump toppers or anything like that. It's how does this work with you, not how do you work with us. It's how do we customize so it fits with your needs, not vice versa.
Yeah, and again, some retailers that have a very built-out food program, they're choosing, hey, we're gonna do our, they may have a new summer chicken sandwich menu and say, hey, we're gonna give away that chicken sandwich for that day. And so, it's whatever you already have in your promotional schedule. And again, this is just to complement your marketing needs. But going back to what Jeff said a while ago is, we work with people that have, a large marketing and PR team, sometimes even external agencies. And then we work with people that literally it's 5 people running the store. They don't have time to do that. So that's why we create these toolkits. So it's plug and play. So very bookend approach.
Well, hope as many of you as able can join us on this. And Kevin, we plan on having you on again to talk about some of these other pillars. Let's move 24/7 day along and see if we can continue upon every year more and more and more companies joining us, and more importantly, more and more positive stories to tell. So once again, thanks for joining us today, Kevin.
One last thing I would love to plug is we are going to be launching on June 1st through July 7th our First Responder of the Year award program. And so again, that'll be on our 24/7 day site. But if there is a first responder in your neighborhood that you think is deserving of being recognized, big or small, heroic effort, you can go on there, fill it out, and we would love to find a way to recognize them.
And we will recognize them because everybody loves heroes. So thanks again. And thank you all for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.